What's going on, guys? Back at the range today with something pretty freaking cool. It's a few years late to say the least, but finally out there we have a John Wick replica comp for the P30L. Let's talk about it, the Wicked Compensator. Alright, so before we get too crazy into this thing, talking about it and shooting it, let's first kick it over to James Williamson, a friend of mine who is an HK legend. Does a lot of great HK training courses, top-notch armor for all things HK. I sent this out to him, as I've sent many things out to him you've seen on this channel before, to get it installed because it is not just some bolt-on piece. It is a thread-on version, just like you've seen in the movie. Let's kick it over to him, talk about it, come back and shoot.
Hey HK fans, James here on the workbench today for a project for my buddy Steve MP5. He's sent me a P30L and then he's gone full John Wick with this Wicked Compensator accessory kit to install in. So let's take a quick look at what we've got here on the workbench. You know, Steve can't do anything basic level. Instead of just a standard P30, he's sent me a fully customized Langdon tactical model as the base gun. We've got the Wicked Compensator, which comes with a new spring that we have to install. Obviously, you've got additional weight and length added to the end of the weapon. That's going to change the recoil impulse, so we need to change out the spring. We've got some shims and some rock set so that we can make sure that we get the compensator mounted exactly how we need to. A little tool for disassembly of the spring. And then obviously, you'll also need to provide the P30L tactical barrel. This is the slightly longer barrel that's got the threads normally meant to mount a suppressor. In this case, we're going to mount the Wicked Compensator as well. So let's go ahead and get that done. So now I've mounted the compensator into the vise. I've got my new barrel with the extended threads in the slide, and I'm going to mount it in there. Now this is a left-hand thread for mounting. I'm going to turn it until I bottom it completely out on its thread, and we're going to see where the compensator lines up with there. So I'm a little bit off to the right at this point without using any tools to fully torque it. So what that means is I'm going to now have to grab the shim kit and add a shim or two of different sizes until I can line it up where I'm a little bit more centered, so that when I then torque it with the rock set, it'll be perfectly aligned. Okay, so now I've got the shim in place, I've got the rock set in place, and I've got a wrench. I'm going to line everything up here, and then I'm going to give it just a little bit of a turn so I can center the whole system up in place. I can double check it again. I still need just a hair more. And there we go. So let's double check what it looks like from the top. Yep, exactly where we want it. So let's put it all back together. So you can see I've got the recoil spring assembly here. I need to remove the standard 9mm weight spring and install the new model that comes with the kit. In order to do that, I have to compress the spring down. You'll see a washer that's held here in place by these two prongs at the end of the rod. So I need to compress those prongs far enough to allow the washer itself to pop right off the top. Okay, with the washer removed, you then remove your original spring, insert the new spring, and with this handy dandy little reassembly tool, you place your washer back inside it, drop it down in the base, flip the entire kit upside down, and then with enough pressure, you can lock the washer back on the spring assembly. Okay, now with the compensator and new barrel assembly installed, we're going to drop in our updated recoil spring assembly, mount everything back up to our receiver, and now we have a fully functional John Wick inspired P30L. Pretty cool. Hope you enjoy it, Steve.
All right, James, thank you, buddy. Don't forget to check out James at 2Fell Tactical if you need anything done HK. But let's talk about this thing. So, you may have heard about this comp. It's been around for probably close to 2 years now, around that time frame. It's been in development for a while. A company called Wicked Compensators. It's one dude as far as I know. Spent a lot of time in R&D in this, getting pictures, replicas, trying to make it as close to the original as possible. And that's sort of what you see here. This is all but an identical clone to what you saw in John Wick 1 when he ran the P30L. Of course, I'm running the P30L the way that I think John Wick would have ran it had this been available at the time, running it in the Langdon. This is Langdon's version of the P30L with the optic. Got to run optics ready. The world has got optics on it now, so we got to do that. So this is the one that John Wick would have used in my mind. So, running optic, Wicked Compensator, Langdon tuned, got all their stuff done, flat trigger comes in their kit if you opt for that. So it's a great shooter. Now, what I'm going to say quickly about this is I've had the comp now for probably a year. Not been able to make a video on it yet because in the production of these comps, there was an issue in the manufacturing with the recoil spring that comes along with it. So the one that it came with, that you saw James install, was a very light recoil spring, and it was out of spec to what it was supposed to be. There was a certain run, the initial launch springs were out of spec. So he went back to the drawing board, and they've sort of been trying to figure out the right tolerances, the right pressures, the springs this needs to be to function properly and reliably. Now, this gun, when I got it, was brand new. It was not fully broken in. They say you should break these in at least 500 rounds, 124 grain, before throwing the comp on. Even with the lighter spring, could get malfunctions. Now, again, this is a range toy. I wouldn't carry this, put my life on it because of the compensator. There's a lot going on here. You're messing with spring weights, and of course the big weight hanging off the end there, making stuff run reliably can be a little iffy. So far, since I've got this on with the updated spring, the spring that I believe is going into production, it's ran. However, this gun was not fully broken in. I am going to run 124 grain here today. Hopefully there's no hiccups, but there probably is going to be issues on last round, ejecting the last round, some stovepipes here and there, but as it breaks in, it should get better. So let's take some shots here and see what it's like. Got it nice and lubed up, make sure it's not dry to help with that spring breaking in and the gun breaking in, running 124 grain. Here we go. Ran pretty good. One stovepipe, and as expected, it was a stovepipe on the last round. So whatever it is about the last round, having those hiccups there, but that was a full mag, which was, I believe, 17. That was 17 rounds. 16 of them ran flawless. The last round, stovepipe. So that's better than it was my first time out on this. When I didn't film it, you try a little bit more breaking in. Let's see what it's like on just a handful of rounds, maybe 5 rounds. See if it's a little different. Okay, all 5. No last round hold open on that. But right now, guys, it's working, and I'm happy with it. Let's do some more. Another quick note before we go again, as this is an actual compensator, so these are functional vents here. These are functional ports in there. As far as being a replica, this thing is pretty spot on. There's some slight differences just that was made by him. You can see here the pick rail, there's a little bit of a gap here, and it sits just a little bit higher up, just a hair, than the pick rail on the actual frame of the gun. He did that because he didn't want anybody to try to bridge the gap here, because you know there's going to be people that do some weird stuff. Put something here that maybe attaches and bridges a gap between there and cause all types of issues. So did that, but at a first glance, it looks like the John Wick gun. It is the John Wick gun. This is the compensator from the movie. It's a thread-on just like the movie, and it's compensated. So let's take some more shots. I'll say, as far as shootability goes, with the Langdon, you guys know I'm a fan of Langdon. And anything I can get with the Langdon work done, whether it's the HKs or the Berettas, I'm down for that because they do a lot of great work. I love them just as a brand. So this thing with the gray guns trigger, flat trigger that they put on with their kit if you want it. I like a flat trigger, so it really just makes it a lot better. Short reset, it's tuned, so it's a really nice package there. It's always that last round. Not sure why, but it's that last round is a failure to eject with a stovepipe. But everything else so far here, fingers crossed, has been running perfect. It's running perfect. The new spring calibration there, as far as whatever the tolerance is, seems like it's running perfectly. Gun's breaking in a little bit more. It's wet. We're good to go. No problems. I am thrilled that this thing is actually up and running now. Oh, the little John Wick stance threw it off a little bit. Stovepipe there. 3 rounds left from that mag. I'm gonna throw one and then turn sideways and see. I think what probably happened, because I'm still getting just like a little bit of a weaker ejection, you can see them kind of like they're not really kicking out really far. It's kind of dribbling out a little bit. When I'm cocking it sideways, doing that John Wick thing, they're coming out and I think still hitting into the ejection port, causing a malfunction. I think that's what happened. Run the footage back and see, but shooting it normally and then just here with those last 2, it works. So maybe don't do that if you decide you want to buy one of these, but still cool nonetheless. All right, guys, I really don't know what else more there is to say about this. If you like movies and you like movie guns, you can't pass over the John Wick P30L. And if you want to take it to that next level of what John Wick himself would have used if it was available at the time, it would be this setup right here. I believe that in my heart of hearts. You're looking at the P30L, Langdonized. All the magic that Langdon does with these. Optic setup. Langdon hooks it up with the P30s, running them with the optic. And of course, the wicked compensator, installed by none other than the man himself, James Williamson. If you need anything done HK-wise, he's the man to go to. Don't forget, if you want to see more Steve MP5 on the Instagrams, and I'll see you next time.